Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we continue with the story of Lythieuca and Hùng, the couple who has gone through countless hardships together, and is now step by step building the dream home that belongs to them. After years of living in a tiny, worn-down shelter, every brick they lay and every bucket of mortar they mix now carries their faith, love, and hope for the future. Every day, Hùng works alongside the builders, carrying bags of cement, hauling buckets of water. Meanwhile, Lythieuca cooks meals, prepares sweet soup, takes care of their child, and brings warm food to everyone working on the site. Laughter and cheerful conversations echo across the construction site, while their dream house slowly rises on the land they have wished for all these years. But, life isn't always gentle. Just a few days before the house is finally completed, something terrible happens to Hùng. While helping the workers install the roof structure, he slips, falling from a high scaffold, shocking everyone. A loud thud. Shouts and panic fill the sweltering afternoon. Lythieuca rushes out from the kitchen, her heart stopping the moment she sees Hùng lying motionless among shattered bricks. Her hands tremble, tears stream down uncontrollably. Hùng, please, wake up. Her voice breaks through the dusty chaos. Will this fall shatter their dream home? What will Lythieuca do when the strongest man in her world lies helpless before her? Stay with today's video to find out what happens next. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to send strength to Hùng and Lythieuca as they face this challenge together. For many days in a row, Hùng worked non-stop. He woke up at dawn, when the light morning mist still lingered over the grass behind the house, and headed to the construction site with the workers to begin another day. The sounds of shovels striking the ground and the rhythm of the cement mixer blended together, the familiar rhythm of people building their dreams with sweat and perseverance. At first, Hùng was clumsy with measurements, leveling the foundation, and mixing concrete. But after just a few days, his hands grew skillful. He learned how to adjust the mortar mixture just right, how to judge the slope of the foundation with a single glance. The bricklayers joked as they worked. If this keeps up, Hùng will quit being a police officer and become a contractor. He only laughed and waved them off, but there was a quiet pride in his eyes. Every shovelful of dirt, every bucket of mortar brought him one step closer to the home he had promised his wife and son. Outside, Lythieuca was just as busy. Early in the morning, she went to the market to buy vegetables, meat, and fish, then returned to cook meals for the workers. By noon, she carried 2 large containers of food to the construction site, walking with a bright smile, sweat soaking through her shirt. When the workers took a break, she quickly laid out the bowls and chopsticks, served rice, and encouraged everyone cheerfully. Please eat a lot so we can finish on time. I've been dreaming of this house for so long. The workers exchanged glances and burst into laughter. An older man said, with a kind hostess like you, working here feels easier. Laughter rolled across the construction site, mixed with the aroma of hot rice, braised fish, and sour soup drifting through the breeze. Despite the blazing heat of the construction season, Lythieuca's smile felt like a cool gust of wind that chased away all fatigue. In the late afternoon, sunlight slanted across the newly built brick walls. Fresh mortar still clung to the surfaces, reflecting shades of orange and pink as the sun set. Tony ran around the yard with bare feet, leaving tiny footprints in the damp sand, giggling with every step. Hùng sat resting beside a stack of bricks, drinking water, his eyes following his son. A gentle smile appeared on his lips, the smile of a man watching his future slowly take shape. At night, a cool breeze drifted in from the distant fields, carrying the faint scent of erica blossoms. The couple sat together on a pile of bricks, behind them, the growing structure of their home, above them, a clear night sky with the full moon hanging silently. The peace was so profound they could hear the crickets chirping in the grass. Hung pointed toward where the front porch would be. "I'll throw a big housewarming party when this is done. I'll invite everyone, neighbors, people who helped us. I want them to know we finally made it." His voice was deep and filled with pride. Hoài Ca turned to him, the moonlight softening the features of his gentle face. She smiled and whispered, "You don't have to push yourself so hard. I don't need a big celebration. As long as you stay safe, that's enough for me." Her voice was soft as the wind, yet carried the weight of her love. They sat quietly side by side. Above them, the moonlight shone on the unfinished walls and on their hands, Hung's rough and calloused, hers small and delicate. Two hands that had held onto each other through hard days and storms, still intertwined among the scattered bricks and rising dreams. The next noon. The sky was clear, without a single cloud. The sun hung high, blazing like molten fire. On the unfinished construction site, the cement slab radiated heat, rising in waves that slapped back into everyone's faces. The smell of lime, steel, and dust mixed into the thick, suffocating air. Every breath tasted dry and scorching, forcing people to squint as sweat poured down like rain. Hung still refused to rest. His faded t-shirt clung tightly to his back, soaked and heavy with sweat. He bent down to tie up the cement bags, then climbed carefully onto the scaffolding. His hands gripped the scorching metal bars, the calluses on his palms pressed against the dry patches of cement. Under the harsh midday sun, the veins on his arms stood out, glistening with sweat like polished steel. Below, Hoài Ca stood under a temporary tarp, holding a bottle of water, eyes fixed on her husband. She watched him climb higher, each step firm but making her heart tighten. She lifted her chin and called out, her voice tinged with worry. "Honey, take a break. It's too hot." From above, Hung glanced down, waving and smiling through the sweat. "I'll finish this part. Just a little more." His voice was faint, swallowed by the rumbling concrete mixer, but it was still warm and reassuring. She could only shake her head gently, smile, then wipe her neck with a towel and continue stacking bricks neatly in a corner. The other workers hurried about. Voices calling, shovels striking the ground, and the creaking of wheelbarrows merged into the familiar rhythm of labor. Bags of cement were passed up. Hung caught them, turned, and set them down on the wooden platform. His movements were quick, steady, precise, his eyes focused, eyebrows occasionally furrowing as sunlight stabbed directly into them. Droplets of sweat slid down his face and hit the fresh mortar below, leaving pale marks, traces of dedication. The midday air grew heavy. The wind stopped. The buzzing of cicadas droned from the roadside trees, mingling with sharp metallic clangs. After a while, Hung bent down to check the wooden support at the edge of the scaffold. Then he stood and reached out to pull up another bag of materials. He didn't know that in just a few seconds, the peaceful moment would shatter. Through the heat and the blaring cicadas came a sharp sound, crack. Short, abrupt, enough to freeze everyone in place. The wooden support on the scaffold suddenly slipped loose. The metal frame trembled, tipping to one side. "Watch out," someone shouted. But everything happened in a split second. Hung lost his balance. His hand grasped for the wooden edge, then slipped. His body fell, swallowed by blinding sunlight and a cloud of dust. A heavy thud struck the ground, the kind of sound that hit straight into the listener's chest. Dust burst into the air. The whole construction site froze. Only the concrete mixer kept turning, slow, steady, indifferent. Hung. Hoài Ca screamed tore the silence apart. She dropped the water bottle and ran, her sandals flew off, her dress stained with dirt. People rushed forward, footsteps chaotic, voices rising in panic. He fell. Help lift him. Careful, his arm might be broken. Get a towel. Get some water. Hung lay motionless beside the broken bricks. Blood trickled from his forehead. His arm was swollen and bruising, his breathing faint and shallow. A streak of red seeped into the gray cement dust, forming a dull, muddy brown that made stomachs twist. A breeze swept through, carrying the smell of metal, lime, and blood, sharp and nauseating. Hoài Ca collapsed to her knees, hands trembling uncontrollably. She called out, her voice breaking. "Honey, can you hear me? Please don't scare me." Tears streamed down her face, mixing with sweat and dust. Hung let out a faint groan, his eyes still tightly shut. From a distance, Tony heard his mother scream. He ran over, voice shaking. "Dad, what happened to Dad?" He cried, sobbing, tiny hands wiping his dusty cheeks. Panic thickened the air. Someone grabbed their phone, voice trembling. "Call for help. Call an ambulance." Another rushed to fetch towels and water. The dust still hung in the heat, the sun still blazed mercilessly, yet everyone suddenly felt cold. They lifted Hung carefully. Hoài Ca's knees scraped against the burning cement, her clothes smeared with dust and sweat. She held his hand tightly, choking on her words. "It's okay. I'm here, stay with me, can you hear me?" But he didn't answer. He only breathed weakly, slower and slower. Under the scorching sun, figures gathered around a single scene. A man lying unconscious on the cement floor. And his wife kneeling beside him, tears soaking their joined hands. No laughter remained. Only the pounding of anxious hearts. The hum of the concrete mixer in the corner. And the roar of an engine being started, rushing them toward whatever fate awaited. The last light of the day slowly faded, leaving only faint streaks of sunlight shining through the glass window of the hospital, scattering across the white tile floor. The hallway was silent, filled only with the smell of disinfectant, the squeak of a rolling gurney, and the steady beeping of a monitor, beep, beep, behind the emergency room door. The warm yellow light spilling from inside felt cold to Hoài Ca. She sat hunched on a hard bench, Tony curled in her arms. Her slender shoulders trembled, her eyes empty as they stared at the closed door. Her hair was messy, her clothes dust-covered, her sandals still wet with dirt. She looked as though she had stepped out of a storm made of fear. Tony leaned against her shoulder, half asleep, his tiny hands loosely wrapped around her neck. "Mom, why aren't we going home?" he asked softly, not understanding why she stayed silent. Hoài Ca didn't answer. She gently stroked his back, forcing her breaths to stay steady so she wouldn't break down. Every time she looked toward the glowing door, her heart tightened. The memory of the afternoon replayed again and again, the snapping sound, the frantic shouts, his body falling through the dust, happening vividly before her eyes. She bowed her head, fingers laced together so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Since the ambulance sped away, she had lost track of how many times she cried. It felt as if someone was squeezing her chest, every heartbeat painfully heavy. A nurse walked by, and Hoài Ca immediately lifted her head, panic filling her eyes. "My husband, how is he?" The nurse paused, shook her head gently, and spoke softly. "The doctor is still checking. Please try to stay calm." Then she walked away, leaving the hallway drowned in suffocating silence. Time crawled. The clock on the wall ticked slowly, syncing with Hoài Ca's trembling breaths, a quiet prayer held within her chest. Finally, the door to the emergency room swung open. Footsteps echoed, slow, heavy, and Hoài Ca nearly stood up without thinking. Tony jerked awake, confused. "Doctor, how is my husband?" Her voice shook, fraying with fear and exhaustion. The middle-aged doctor removed his mask, wiped his forehead, and offered a gentle smile. "He's very lucky. It's only soft tissue injury. No broken bones, no head trauma. He just needs rest, no heavy work for a while." Hoài Ca froze. Then everything inside her collapsed at once. Her knees gave out, her hand covered her mouth, and tears streamed down her face. Not the frantic tears of panic, but tears of relief, fear releasing its grip all at once. Tony looked at her, confused. "Mom, why are you crying?" Hoài Ca pulled him close, holding him tightly. Her voice was faint, cracking with emotion. "It's okay now, everything's okay." The emergency room light cast a soft gold glow on the two figures embracing in the empty hallway. Outside, dusk had fully fallen, only a cold breeze slipped through the open window, carrying the last trace of a terrifying day, and the fragile warmth of a miracle finally found. The sun had just risen over the hill, dew still clinging to the grapefruit leaves behind the house. At dawn, Hoài Ca was already awake, packing some clothes, food, and a box of medicine, preparing to return to the hospital. Tony was still sleepy, eyes half closed, holding a plastic spoon in his mouth, bowl of porridge unfinished. She gently brushed his hair and kissed his forehead, whispering, her voice thick with emotion. "Stay home with Grandma for a few days, okay? Mommy needs to take care of Dad at the hospital." Her mother, sat by the stove, water boiling softly in the pot, steam rising into the air. Hearing her daughter's voice, she set the ladle down and held Hoài Ca's hand. "Mom, please take care of Tony these few days. I'll stay at the hospital with Hùng. He's a good boy, he only eats and sleeps." Mrs. Ha looked at her daughter, wrinkles deep at the corners of her eyes, her voice soft and tender. "Go take care of him. Leave the house to me. Tony and I will be just fine. Save your strength for your husband." Hoài Ca nodded, forcing a smile to hide the worry gathering in her chest. Before leaving, she knelt down and held Tony tight. His tiny arms wrapped around her neck, his innocent laughter filling the room. "Daddy's coming home soon, right?" Hoài Ca nodded, her lips trembling. "Yes. Daddy will come home soon." Leaving her mother's house, she headed back to the hospital. The hallway floors shone under bright lights, the smell of antiseptic sharp in the air. She walked softly, carrying hot porridge, fresh clothes, and a small towel. Hùng lay on the bed, pale, but his eyes still bright. When he saw her enter, he smiled, weak, but warm enough to soften her heart. She fed him porridge, helped him take his medicine. In the morning, she helped him sit up, washed his face, and supported him as he took a few steps. At noon, she sat beside him, gently fanning him while he slept. At night, she washed towels, hung laundry, folded blankets neatly, then sat and read quiet prayers for peace. A nurse passing by stopped for a moment and whispered, "Not many people take care of someone like you do. He's very lucky." Hoài Ca simply smiled. To her, the word lucky meant more than anything now. Midnight. The room was still. The dim night light cast two long shadows on the tile floor. Hùng woke, throat dry, trying to sit up, and realized a small hand was resting on his. Hoài Ca had fallen asleep at the bedside, her head leaning against the edge of the bed, hair spilling over his wrist. She slept in exhaustion, body slumped forward, breathing steady, small beads of sweat on her forehead. He lifted his uninjured hand and gently stroked her hair, fingertips brushing through the strands. His eyes softened. His voice was hoarse, filled with emotion. "You're working too hard because of me. Ca." She stirred and slowly opened her eyes. The warm yellow light softened his pale face, his gaze filled with gratitude and love. Hoài Ca shook her head, her voice small but firm despite the tremble. "As long as you get better, it's worth anything." She pulled the blanket up to his chest, her hands shaking slightly, but her eyes steady, full of unwavering devotion. During the days Hung stayed in the hospital, time seemed to slow down. Every morning, Hoài Ca woke early to prepare porridge, change his bandages, and bring his medicine. By the time the first sunlight slipped through the hospital window, she was already at his bedside, fixing his blanket and checking the injury on his arm. Hung kept smiling, telling her not to worry, but she knew, behind that smile was pain he tried to hide. Yet she never complained. Every spoonful of porridge, every cup of water, every gentle touch carried her quiet strength and love. In the afternoon, once Hung fell asleep, she took the bus back to the construction site. The heat of that month felt like fire, but Hoài Ca still wore her sun hat, carrying a small notebook in her hand, carefully writing down each task. She walked around the unfinished house, eyes tracing the rising brick walls, her feet stepping over cement that had not yet dried. Whenever someone spotted her, voices rose. "Mrs. Hoài Ca is here." The workers paused and waved. One of them, still holding his trowel, assured her, "Don't worry. We'll finish this properly. A man like Hung, who treats others well, heaven will repay him." Hoài Ca only smiled, pressing her lips together to hold back emotion. She didn't want to cry. Tears now would only weaken the faith she and her husband were fighting to protect. To her, every brick, every wall was not just part of a house, but a symbol of their love, a quiet promise that no matter how hard things got, they would rise again together. 1 week later, Hung was discharged from the hospital. His arm was still bandaged, and his steps were slow, but the light in his eyes was brighter than ever. As soon as he reached home, he looked toward the construction site, where the red roof tiles were beginning to peek through the areca trees. Seeing that look in his eyes, Hoài Ca frowned. "You just recovered. Stay home and rest. I can go check for you." Hung smiled, gentle, but firm. "I just want to see it. I won't do anything heavy. I can't rest until I see it with my own eyes." She sighed, but walked behind him anyway, afraid he would stumble. When they reached the site, the scent of fresh mortar filled the air, accompanied by the sound of hammers and saws. Brick walls had nearly closed in, the first window frame was up, and the red roof tiles were being prepared for installation. The whole yard shimmered in the afternoon sunlight, brick dust floating like tiny golden specks. Hung stood in the middle of the site, inhaled deeply, looked around, then turned to her, voice steady, filled with determination. "Let me finish what I started. We've poured too much sweat into this house to stop now." Hoài Ca remained silent, her eyes full of worry and pride. She knew he wasn't being stubborn. This was his dignity, the pride of a husband, a protector, a man building a future for his family. The afternoon sun spilled over the new brick walls, reflecting light onto their faces, one weathered and strong, the other tender yet unwavering. The breeze carried the smell of fresh mortar, of sunlight, of days where they refused to fall. The house continued to rise. Every hammer strike, every brick laid, every line of mortar felt like the heartbeat of the two of them. Each corner now held not just warmth, but trust, gratitude, and a love strong enough to withstand any storm. Late afternoon. The sun leaned toward the foot of the hill, dyeing the entire horizon a deep golden hue. Strips of crimson clouds drifted slowly across the sky, reflecting against the dusty ground where bricks had just been stacked. A gentle breeze swept through, carrying the scent of fresh mortar and the faint smell of the fields, filling the air with a quiet, peaceful stillness. Hùng and Hoài Ca sat side by side on a temporary wooden step at the front of the construction site, their sandals covered in sand, clothes still stained with white patches of cement. Behind them, the newly finished wall was still damp, catching the last light of the fading sun, brick lines straight and steady, solid like their perseverance.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Bây giờ thì mình vẫn đang trong quá trình làm video. Mình đã xem video xong rồi. Mọi người hãy đón xem kênh của mình nhá. Mình đang bận bên này một tí nha. Đợi mình một tí nha mọi người ơi. Cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều. Hẹn gặp lại. Bye bye.